I love you.
Oh, you too. So I Googled how to do this. The first instructions were do not try to like make it up in the moment. They're like, don't like be prepared, write it down, practice it, say it out loud. So I wrote it down. It's only 4 pages, so just don't even worry. It's gonna be great. Okay. And I'm gonna do the cliche thing where I start with a quote, but I want you to know that I know it's a cliche. Okay. But it comes full circle, so it's okay. Okay. What is a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden you never get to see. Lin-Manuel Miranda. Sue Ann Jackson McIntire was known by many names. Sue Ann, Sue McIntire, RN, Susie, Mom, Miss Sue, Granny, and to Amelia, Guinea. I would never describe my mom as a social person or outgoing, but she was kind, patient, friendly, pleasant, helpful, brief, and to the point. I am the only child of my mother, and she got a great return on her investment with me by getting 3 grandkids from me. Before my mom, Dee, and I became a trio, she and Dee were a duo. Like any great duo, they worked together to finish raising Dee's 3 kids, Shane, Nikki, and Trey, who were all teens when they met. My mom became pregnant with me at the start of Nikki's senior year of high school. In fact, I was born on Nikki's senior prom weekend. Talk about stealing somebody's thunder, okay? Yeah. As Dee was literally finishing her parenting career, she agreed to start over with my mom because she thought that my mom wanting a baby wasn't an unreasonable request. We began my life living in the country outside of Abilene. After a few years, we moved into town, and our trio grew by 1 when my granny came to live with us. My mom became devoted to any interest I took up. She was a faithful Suzuki violin mom when I started violin in 1st grade. She attended and recorded on cassette every violin lesson until middle school. She was an avid scorekeeper at every gymnastics meet. She always knew what my medal status was on each event before I did, but she would never tell me. In high school, she was the Orchestra Booster Club president and the fiddler mom of the fiddle band that I gigged with. Upon hearing of my mom's death, my friend Jay, who was in the band with me, remarked, "I was so sad to hear about your mom because it was like she was all of our moms." When I was in high school, our house was Grand Central Station for friends of mine in need. Friends who didn't have food came to eat. Friends who didn't have a place to sleep came to sleep, sometimes for many months. Friends who didn't have parents to care for them found parents at my house. My mom worked as a nurse for 48 years before retiring in 2016. Most of her career was spent at cardiology consultants working as a clinical coordinator. She was the nurse in charge of all the other nurses. She was also in charge of scheduling all the 10 doctors and 5 nurse practitioners in the practice at 2 different hospitals. She assisted doctors with procedures in the cath lab. Her dear friend, Dr. Nancy, spoke so highly of her on the phone to me recently. She said that she was very smart, compassionate, knowledgeable, and a fast learner. When my mom retired in 2016, Dr. Nancy and the staff in cardiology threw her a very memorable retirement party. They invited many friends who had already left the practice and retired. My mom was one of the last remaining employees from the early years of the practice. Dr. Nancy had Indian food catered in from Dallas for my mom's retirement party, which touched her tremendously. In the last few weeks, many of her nursing colleagues have reached out to me to express what an excellent supervisor, nurse, and friend she was. I particularly loved one story that a nurse shared with me about how when her husband was deployed, my mom allowed her to bring her child to work with her when he was off from school. She gave a lot of grace to her employees when they needed to be off work, but she almost never missed a day herself. And I'm going to take a break here and read a text message that her friend Spring sent me last night. She was apologizing for not being able to come. "Your mom was one of the best nurses I ever met. It was her ability to stay calm in any situation and just keep moving forward. She was steadfast and you could always count on her. She took such great care of her employees. She sent a nurse home one time for being sick, and when I told her she wasn't sick, that she had a hangover, she said, 'Well, a hangover would make me feel sick.'" and she laughed. She was good about nothing startling her, and she always was in our corner, even at times when we might not have been exactly right or even deserved her devotion. She saved me a couple hundred times from physicians, and I would not be where I am today without her. She genuinely loved people, all shapes, sizes, and kinds. Her heart was huge. She was so happy to be retiring and coming to be with you and your kids. It just filled her heart. She cried when she told me about your adoption and your pregnancy with the baby. Her cup runneth over and out her eyes. She was so very proud of you and your heart for others. Okay. My mom arrived in Houston right on the heels of us taking custody of Jeremy. Those months were fast and furious with packing, moving, and unpacking, and hospital stays for Jeremy. Mom, Dee, and Ruben's mom, Liz, watched Zoe while packing and unpacking for our move to this house. During that time, Mom and Dee kept things afloat while Ruben and I shuttled back and forth between work and the hospital to see our sick baby. My mom and Dee kept the babies at home and out of daycare for the first 2 years of their lives to give Jeremy the best chance at healthy lung development. During this time with him, my mom got to put her nursing skills to use with nose suctioning, oxygen level checking, breathing treatment giving, medicine dispensing. She may not have ever been able to keep track of where her purse was, but she was meticulously organized about charting the symptoms, fever, and medications of our kids. In spite of being incredibly intimidated by Houston highways and traffic, she became a Gold Star granny who drove her grandkids to and from school and back and forth to therapies and appointments so that Ruben and I could stay at work. Her greatest joy was being with her grandkids who she cared for daily. In fact, the last photos on her phone's camera roll were screenshots of the kids taken from her Facebook photos while she was in the hospital. The only purpose I can imagine for that is that she wanted to save them to her phone so that she could see them more quickly than going to Facebook to find them. She could hardly stand to be away from them any time at all. If I learned anything in the last 3 weeks, it's that no person is ever guaranteed any number of days. I thought I knew this before, but I didn't really. My mom lived with lupus for most of her life and beat breast cancer 20 years ago, so I never imagined that a random sequence of medical mishaps would end her life. She knew what it meant to fight for her life and how to take care of herself in an effort to live longer. Her advice to everyone here would be stop drinking too much, stop smoking, go on walks, follow your doctor-recommended health screenings, and treasure your time with friends and family. At the end of your life, those relationships are the only things that matter. Over the last 3 weeks, I've shifted some of my own parenting attitudes to reflect this reality. At the end of my life, I want my kids to look at me with the same love and admiration that I feel for my mom. I wasn't ready for my mom to go, but I'm so grateful to have learned this lesson early in my parenting career. I will cherish the 31 years of memories that I've shared with my mom, but a few that have brought me a smile the last few days are recalling how for as long as I can remember, she would hide things to protect them and then forget where she hid them. In recent weeks, she sent Dee, Ruben, and I on some turn the house upside down searches for keys and other valuables that she'd hidden in the cottage. She set calendar reminders on her phone for everything. Astros games, favorite TV show start times, medication reminders, babysitting reminders, and when it was time to mow the grass. In the last hours of her life in the hospital, she had an alarm go off to remind Trey that it was time to weed eat the yard in Baytown, which brought all of us a welcome laugh. She would come into our house every day with a new bruise or scrape on her arm or leg and never knew where they came from, but they were probably from crawling on the floor with toddlers aged 71. She loved to take solo walks around the neighborhood and take Zoe for afternoon scooter rides. She was an avid Facebooker and almost never let a picture or status go by without a comment.
It's true.
When I was at work, she would send me photos of people visiting our little free library because she knew I enjoyed seeing it get used. I love watching her dance to Baby Shark in the kitchen with the kids. I love that she taught me the Marine Corps hymn in elementary school because she's proud of her dad's military service. Last year, she took great pleasure and pride in volunteering with Wreaths Across America at a local cemetery. This brings me back to my first statement. What is a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden you never get to see. She'll never know the reach of the seeds that she planted in the lives of the people that she knew, and neither will I. But the show of people here today is evident that she touched your life by knowing you personally or indirectly impacted you by the seeds that you planted in the lives of myself, Ruben, Dee, Trey, Shane, and her influence shaped the people that we are and the interactions that we have with all of you. I'm humbled and thankful to have the love and support of you all, and I thank you for traveling distances near and far to be here today to celebrate the life of my amazing mother. She was a lifelong ice cream fan, but she loved a good cake as a close second. I could not find a logistically friendly way to serve ice cream to this many people, so please toast my mom with a piece of cake. Cheers.
Excellent cake.
Just get all the people.
All right, Sarah.
Here she comes.
So, I want to kind of open this up and let anybody else share a few words, a memory you have of Sue or the family in some way or another. And I think Ruben's going to share at the end of that. And so, just want to kind of open it up. Anybody want to give a memory? Stand here.
Yep, you need to. You know, I tried writing it down, and I thought, I'm writing 36 years of my life on a piece of paper, and it just won't fly, you know. We started out, and she jumped right in and rolled her sleeves up to teenagers, and boys more especially, you know. But she was tough. She was real tough. And she was ingenious, and she could come up with some real alternatives, you know. And that's what made her different from a lot of other people. about the time, like Megan said, that I thought, you know, Nikki is graduating and our little birds are going to fly. And we're going to be here, you know, to do what we wanted to do. And I remember the night she came in and she looked at me and she said, you know I care about you and you know that I care about the family. But she said, I want to have a baby. And I said, okay. And I said, I said, Susie, I said, that's not an unreasonable request, you know. And she said, she said, will you support it? And I said, you bet. And she said, I've checked into some things, and she said, I want you to come help me. And I said, whatever you need, I'll be there. So we got in touch with the doctors, and you know, it was more than just saying, you know, I want to have a baby. You know, hey, it was more than that. You know. It was running up and down the road from Abilene to Fort Worth and having to go in a moment's notice and having to go take these tests and go through all this stuff, you know. And I said, are you sure this is what you want to do? And she said, yep, I am. And I said, okay. I said, that's good. So, you know, as it happened, you know, we had Megan coming along. And she asked me one time, she said, do you think that we can do this the right way? And I told her, I said, I love you and you love me. And when this baby gets here, we're both going to love her. And that's all that counts. That is all that counts. And Megan was her mother's greatest pleasure. She had gone to violin shows at school, and she was so proud of her. And of course, I am too. You know, let's don't downplay that. You know, and I remember that when I was at the hospital this time, and we knew that she needed to go be an angel. And Megan was sitting on one side of the bed and I was sitting on the other. And we got a hold of hands and we said, we started this 31 years ago, the three of us. And she said, it's the three of us now. And I said, yes, it is. You know, I've had a lot of people that says, how unconventional can this possibly be? You know? And, you know, mostly my response is, when you're in Rome, you do as a Roman, you know. It's that simple, you know. And some people will not really accept it. And then there were some people that were. But we didn't let it bother us. And Sue really didn't let it bother her. Mm-hmm. And she was a professional. And she was out there. She was out there, and she knew that there was a lot of people that did not particularly like our choices, but that was okay too. You know. She never wanted to push anything on anyone, and she always wanted to be respectful of others' feelings. She was tough. She was real tough. She made me a better person on a daily basis because I was not that good a person when we first met. But I became a real better person after I met her. I'm grateful that I have the memories. I'm grateful that I can talk to her today. And I know that she is with me, no matter where I go, of what I do. And I'm so grateful that everyone here is here. I know that she would just be tickled to death because she liked gatherings. She was not that outgoing, but she did like it. You know, she did like it. And she wouldn't tell you that she did, but she did.
She always came.
Yeah.
She always came.
She always came. You're
Yeah.
right. You know, and she would say, "You need to be here because we're going to go do so and so." I'd say, "Okay." You know, and it's not that I was henpecked. I just had chicken house ways. You know, when she said do something, I did it. I was proud of her, and there was times that she was proud of me. And as I said, anyone that knew her came away with an outstanding difference that they could feel, because that's how she was. She radiated, and everyone that was with her knew it. I'm going to miss her, but I'm going to see our kids and our kids' kids, and it will get better. And I know that it will. It's just going to take us some time. And I do appreciate everybody coming. Thank you so much.
Others? Yeah.
I'm coming.
All right.
All right. I should have written mine down. So I've never cried probably as much as I've cried in the last 3 weeks. A lot of things that Megan said and Dee was saying is so true. Megan said, you know, be thinking of some, you know, some stuff from my mom and funny things and
Pause.
I was thinking, I messaged her back and I said, you know, your mom laughed a lot, just like Dee was saying, you know, she wasn't extremely outgoing, but she loved it, like
She did.
and she would laugh a lot. She would just crack up at everything. But the cool thing about her, well, there are so many cool things, but she was so solid, so matter of fact, so I don't even know how to put her into words, really, what she meant to me. She just was Johnny on the spot, kind of, you know, matter of fact, but always had the right things. She would always say the right things. I'm like, hey, who does that? Who can do that? Sue could do that. Anyways, and she did. She took us in, me and my daughter Abby. She's around here somewhere. When Abby was a baby, her and Dee were like parents to me. And in high school, I was at Megan's house more than my own house when I did my chores. She'd have to come over and help me do my chores.
I
so
would
could go
do
to
her
house.
chores.
She
so
would.
She couldn't come over.
Yeah, she would.
It was just taking out the trash. I'm like,
She would.
take out the damn trash so you can come over and hang out.
I'm like, or I can wait
I
a day and
sincerely
Megan will
believe
come
that.
do it for me, and then I'll go to her house and it'll be good. So yeah, so I was over there in high school more than I was in my house. So yeah, they definitely took in everybody that wanted to come over. It was just amazing, and I don't even have all the words. I don't think I could have even written down everything that they mean to me and that she meant to me. But she was definitely lovely and someone I'll admire forever. Anyways, yeah.